if you're not doing things your way that fit you, then burnout is inevitable. It will happen. I started to realize that everything was about energy management when I was in the middle of getting burnt out. A lot of entrepreneurs I see, they build from the outside in. They go to the marketplace and say, what are the problems out there I can solve? To become what your purpose is and what you're meant for, you want that mark to be left even when you're gone. So live today to leave your legacy tomorrow. It's a blessing for them to be able to pay you. It's an opportunity for their growth to pay you.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. Depending on where you are, good morning. But welcome family, welcome home. You are in the Inspired House, wherever you are, wherever you may be watching, whether on YouTube, whether on Facebook, whether on LinkedIn, or if you're one of the folk who are a part of the Inspired House community and you're logged in ready with questions to ask our guest here. I'm so excited and so grateful to have you here. As always, I am your host, Desmond Davis. And family, today, we're going to get a little psychological. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive. And I am so excited to be able to introduce to y'all Dr. Johnna Richardson. Dr. Johnna, how you doing?
Hello, everyone. I am awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here in the Inspired House. Let's all get inspired today.
There we go. That's a fact. We love it. And we're so grateful for having you, and just with everything that you're doing, everything that you got going on, really appreciative of the time that you gave us. And so if it's cool with you, I just want to get straight into it. I'm always one who thinks of, I can just, I have a whole list of things to read and all this other stuff about biography. That's all well and good. But I always find it better to just let the guests just introduce and tell their own story, then we can hop into it. Does that feel good?
Sounds good. Yeah. You be the
Awesome.
guide, though. If we want to go a different direction, I'm open to it.
For sure. So then here's what we're going to do. Everybody, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. John. And Dr. John, just let them know a little bit about who you are.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here. I actually have met Desmond virtually in I think it was Omar El Takori's program, or in a challenge. And I was really attracted to your coaching style and topic of helping people in burnout. That is a serious topic. And it is very good to be aware of and be in preventative mode, really, for the rest of our human life on Earth, because we are frail and fragile beings and we need support of all kinds. So I was attracted to that message. I personally have experienced burnout in my entrepreneurial journey. So I have a special place in my heart of understanding, experiencing, overcoming, and living out what it means to live in your optimal state of being, personally and professionally. So with that being said, that's what originally attracted to you and to your audience. So I'm really excited to be here and hopefully help someone today and inspire us all. My doctorate's in psychology, so that's why we may get a little psychological. I have been an entrepreneur, 2 decades. I'm well into my 40s now, and I started with a nonprofit for children, teaching them photography as a form of therapy. Called it Star Shooter Phototherapy for Kids. That was my first kind of entrepreneurial go at it, and then realized nonprofits don't make a ton of money. So I started my own photography business, Johnna Photography. I did that for 15 years, closed the door when I opened the consulting business door. So I currently have Dr. Johnna Consulting and help entrepreneurs live out their dreams and work for themselves and not somebody else, and realize the power that we all have to monetize our gifts. I strongly believe we all have what I call gold inside of us that we can monetize and make a living off of selling our service or our knowledge or a product. And so I just get really jazzed and excited about helping people identify that and how to make that work on the reality side of things in 2026. So with that being said, I also You will learn today that I believe in an identity based entrepreneurship and how important it is to know who you are before you build. And this also looks at revamping things as you grow. So
Mm.
as I've grown in my consulting business, I am now offering AI consultancy because for the last couple of years, I've integrated it into my business and realized my values of peace and time freedom are so important that those AI tools can really impact you in a great way. So now I offer AI consulting because I believe in the tools and the systems and what freedom it can give you. So that's a little bit about me. I've also been a therapist in the past with a lot of trauma situations with children and families for many years in the homes, residential facilities, clinical settings. And then I've also been a psychology professor for 10 years. I never planned on it, but teaching is something that comes really natural and to me, and I enjoy it. And so I still do some adjunct professor in several universities when they need. So that's a little bit about me and my journey, but I'm excited to collaborate with other amazing coaches and people in the industry. So thank you for having me. And I'm an open book. So if we have people here today have questions, or if you have questions, but I have a personal and passionate stance on burnout. So I'm happy to talk about some of that as well.
Okay, all right. So we found the right person to be talking with today. So with all those different things that you've done, starting out focusing in trauma work, and then building out the photography business, and now coaching, and really you used this word at the beginning of when you were sharing about yourself. You said that you found that everybody has some type of gold in them. Can you explain what you mean
Mm.
by that?
Yes. I believe that we enter a new state of business after we experience some sort of healing. So that's why I'm loving the identity based entrepreneurship, because we experience new ideas and new possibilities for what our business can look like after we do the internal work and building your business from the inside out. So I wanted to say that before I forget and preface that I personally have experienced new business ideas and new structures on how to monetize after I've experienced internal healing, whether that's with a coach or a therapist or personal experience that helped me grow. That was a direct reflection in my life. So I want to first start with that. And then you realize what your goal is. So sorry to unpack all that, but I also see gold. Actually, that term came to me. I was a director of a training institute for the Florida Center for Early Childhood Development, and I was building a training institute for therapists and teachers, and that were impacting and working with children and child development. And it was during COVID, actually. They hired me right before in March 2020, and everything went online. So it was in-person work, of course. There was even a school, and then therapists had their office, and children were coming in, and we were building a training institute to continue education hours for the professionals. And then COVID happened, and I started to, and I love opportunities and challenges. So I started to brainstorm. We've got to create this training institute online. They didn't have any experience of being online in this organization. And I saw it so clearly, and I saw all the professionals had gold sitting on their desk and just not, it
Mm.
wasn't reaching the kids and the families. It wasn't impacting them during COVID. So it was during that season of being locked down in the COVID era that I was like, hey, psychiatrists, fetal alcohol spectrum disorder clinic, and the Starfish Academy School, like all of these amazing professionals were in their office, stuck at their desk, maybe doing some telehealth and working with them one on one. But I was like, you guys have so much gold. The skills you have, the passion you have, the strengths that are uniquely yours. They had occupational therapists, they had speech pathologists, and it was like, we've got to take your gold and package that up so we can impact these children and families that are sitting at home and they need us more than
Hmm.
ever. Um, So we did that. I would interview each professional and I was like, okay, what is it that gets you excited? What are your strengths? What is it that makes you you and the work you do? And how do you specifically help children and families? And we just started packaging up this gold, and we were making these courses and classes and live trainings for all ages. So it really started out of that experience. And then I started to recognize that's what I've done in my entrepreneurial journey, and that's what I want to do to help other professionals or people that have an expertise that they want to monetize with. Because I believe if you aren't doing it to your own blueprint and not someone else's blueprint, you'll burn out. So
Yeah.
that's why identity based is so important, because if you're not doing things your way that fit you, then burnout is inevitable. It will happen.
Wow. So first off, that's kind of a lot to take in terms of perspective. So what you're getting at is you're saying that people, the goal they have, it's wrapped up in their experiences, it's wrapped up in their gifts, it's wrapped up in realizing who they are, understanding that identity so that you can properly, I guess for lack of better words, use the goal that you have or just even recognize the goal that you have. Am I getting that right?
Yes, yes. And, I was thinking about today, and two things have come to me about burnout is, like you mentioned, you may not recognize it. So, yeah, there's two factors that I believe actually make you think you're in burnout.
Hmm.
You either are not believing how great you are, or you're not aware of how great you are.
Hmm.
Greatness being the value that you have, and the belief of how worthy you are, because your actions speak to that belief system that you have. So if you are overextending, have poor boundaries, say yes to too many things, spread yourself thin, or so all the things that may lead to burnout,
Yeah.
that is actually a belief system that you are either not aware of how great you are and how to protect yourself, or you don't believe it. So
Hmm.
so it really does come down to the beliefs, because, and this could even be like, the things that led me to my burnout was high performance, overachieving. So I was believing all these things, but I wasn't really truly locked into the greatness of it, because I was just running myself ragged. You have to really lock into saying, okay, what are my priorities and what is it that I want to grow and build specifically, not all the things. And so it really comes down to your belief of yourself. And that's why I go
Hmm.
back into identity. So does that answer that
Yeah.
question?
Th- That very much does because it's making me think of like with a lot of my burnout work and it's funny that you say that because one of the things we talk about is what are the core kind of signs if we're diagnosing right using clinical language. One of the key signs in burnout, besides exhaustion, besides depersonalization or AKA just checking out, one of the biggest signs is that low sense of self-efficacy. In other words, I had a friend of mine who always called it this, where she always checked me about doubting my dopeness. Right. So you start doubting just
Hmm,
how dope you are,
I
how
like
good
that.
you are at what you do. And that's where that imposter syndrome comes in. And so then
Yes.
you were saying that being trying to do the high performance, if we're going to be honest, just trying to maybe just go with a little bit of what's the word, hustle culture, a little bit of just trying to like make things happen. You said kind of led to burnout, and so I'm gathering then that's really is what's impacting a lot of the work that you're doing. And so to ask that question about for someone who might be listening, for someone who might be watching, and they just might find themselves stuck. They might say, okay, well, I think I'm a high performer. Maybe they check all the boxes. Maybe they're crushing it in school or they already graduated and they got all the degrees, they got the job, they're excelling everywhere, but they're just still, I like to say, on empty.
Hmm.
What is that first step in terms of understanding identity to get a better idea of who you are, if I'm saying that right.
Yes, absolutely. I'm totally tracking you. And I love that question because I actually was telling myself, what are those 3 steps that I could tell them today? So I have 3 steps. I'm a big picture thinker and seer, so I'm going to tell you the 3 steps and we'll dive into the first. The
Mm-hmm.
first step to get unstuck, if you're feeling not like yourself or you're wanting more energy, is the obvious. The do an energy audit. And what do I mean by energy
Yeah.
audit? And I'll define energy because I know we're living in a day and age that this word is being thrown around a little bit, and there may be different perspectives of what that is. So I see energy as very, very simplified: what you do, what you feel, and what you think. Very much that cognitive triangle, right? So it's the physical, mental, and emotional exertion you spend in a day. I
Hmm.
see everybody wake up in the morning and you've got a fistful of coins in your pocket. And as soon as you spend those coins, you're done by the end of the day. So
Mm.
it's all about how you spend your mental, physical, and emotional energy throughout the day. So it's literal exertion of not too much woo woo or the energetic factor. Like it's really energy. It's the inertia that what you spend in your day of what you do, what you think, what's inhabiting your mind, and the things you feel.
Mm.
And sometimes things happen to us, but we still have choices to respond. So we have a lot of choice in all of these 3 areas. So, what do I mean by an energy audit? Go through your mind or paper or digital and write down how you're spending these in the last 2 weeks. Because sometimes it's like, well, I mean, I'm in a season of a new job or whatever it may be. Just the last 2 weeks gives a good indicator of, or a week if you want to break it down, on how you've been spending it. How have you been spending your energy? And
Mm.
to me, that is everything. If
Yeah.
you're trying to understand the level of burnout, or maybe you're wanting to prevent it, or have an intervention, or get some treatment for whatever stage you really, and I do this as well on a day. I've incorporated this into my life on a daily basis. I'm a little bit too much, to be honest, hypersensitive of how I spend my energy and
Mm.
to prepare for whatever it is. So it comes down to listing out who you are, what you want, and what your goals are. And then is your energy in alignment with those? Um, I started to realize that everything was about energy management when I was in the middle of getting burnt out. Now, burnout is a big word, and if somebody's here listening today, I will go on a limb and say you're not burnt out because you're here, you're
Mm.
listening, you're consuming, you have the
Mm.
energy to receive today, you have the energy to think about your life today, you have something to give or get.
Mm.
That's energy. And
Yeah.
burnout is you're in bed and you're tapped out and you don't have anything left. That's an actual cellular level of adrenal fatigue, stage 4, whatever it may be, like that. So if you're here listening today, I encourage you to reflect on, are you really in burnout? Because you have something to receive and give today if you're here listening, because it takes energy to consume this podcast. So first step is that energy audit, and just kind of go through your mind. I'm actually working with AI to create a whole new energy audit questionnaire and platform, because I've got spreadsheets and I've got all these kind of tools, and I've made 2 different types of assessments of business performance and your personal energy management performance. So I've created tools to help people with this, but you really can just sit down and say, or maybe log it each day. What did I think about today? What did I actually do? Was I cleaning out the garage, or was I in a meeting? Like, what did you physically do? What did you think? And then how did you feel? What was taking over your emotions and your thoughts and your actions? And I know it sounds really simple and you're like, well, I don't want to do that. It really does exist in that, because once you start to see what did you do, think, and feel, did those, the next question is, did you line that up? Is it in alignment with your goals that you want to do in the next 6 months, the next 5 years? Is everything you did today in the last 2 weeks lining up with your personal and professional goals. That is the clearest blueprint I will ever give anyone. And that's where you really need to start. And if you need to reevaluate and rebuild, and once you start getting in this mindset of that, it will help you on a day-to-day basis and say, okay, do I want to expend my energy on this? Because it's going to take up a lot of time, a lot of my thought, even stuff around your house. It takes energy to figure out where to put it, right? So living a minimalistic life may be helpful. So all that to say, step one, do an energy audit on your thoughts, actions, and feelings.
Hey, family, I hope you've been loving the conversation so far. Now, you already know at the Inspired House, we got your back. We're here to help you beat burnout. We're here to help you be your best self. Ultimately, we're just trying to help you feel good. But you know what goes a long way in somebody feeling good? It's looking good. And that's why we're really excited for the sponsor of today's episode, Purpose Grooming Lounge, right here in Rochester, New York. The Purpose Grooming Lounge is one of the best barbershops in the Rochester area. And if you're from Rochester, you know this place is no secret. And if you heard of the shop, then you already know about the owner, Jamil Gaines. Mill is one of the best barbers in the city and who I personally trust to keep me clean and tight for every podcast, for every workshop, and for every video we put out on the Inspired House. But if you don't believe me, take his word for it.
Hey, this is Mills, Them People's Barber. If you're looking for a good haircut, good quality professional service, come on down to Purpose Grooming Lounge.
Hey, shout out to Mills and all the barbers at the Purpose Grooming Lounge. Check them out at 6 Atlas Street, Rochester, New York. And if you go in and decide to get a 90s high top fade like me, just tell them the Inspired House sent you. Back to the show. So yeah, I guess I just never thought about the whole point of like doing an energy audit. And I think you said something that I found to be really true, that oftentimes it kind of is the simple, like it's not hard. And I think the issue is sometimes the answers, the initial answers of just at least doing the work of finding out could be so easy that we think it almost isn't like, oh, that can't work. But literally just journaling, like you said, I think has done honestly wonders for me, my memory, in doing a better job of looking over like interactions I've had, people I've invested time in, how I've been. Like I'll just to your point, I'm kind of just having an aha moment right now. Like, shoot, I feel like I'm getting coached. Thank you. But like I'm thinking even now, like a week ago, I recently lost a very dear family member to just a hit and run, and I wasn't really processing, if I'm gonna be honest, the fact that the way I journaled and what I was thinking and talking about, I'm thinking about it now, it was way different compared to how I usually was journaling. What I was investing my time in, where my energy was going, where I was locked in, usually compared to where I wasn't. And I think, like, wow, that's only step one, is just energy audit. So I'm sorry I cut you off, but it was just, that was perfect. Bubbling up in me. I'm like, dang, like, all right, Dr. Johnna, like, stop. Like, it hurts a little bit. but that's good, though.
Well, you actually gave me some goosebumps. And I think that is thank you for being vulnerable and transparent and sharing that quite intimate detail of your life. And I want to encourage everyone to recognize, this sounds dramatic, but if you were gone tomorrow, what do you want to leave behind? What message do you want to leave? And I think that helps you wake up to realize, what are my goals? Like, really, not to be number one in a video game or something. I mean, maybe that's your career, so that could be it, but to really reflect on what's important. Like, you probably had some shifting in the things you were doing because of something important happened in your life, and grief, giving yourself time. And my husband battled cancer for 2 years. He's cancer free as of just a few months ago. And we moved to the Florida Keys after his last surgery that put him in a cancer free zone, because of that very thing. We both value peace, and we both value living on the water and having that access on a more frequent basis. We were in Sarasota, Florida, which is also beautiful and #1 beach in America for many years. Like, it was beautiful, but it was still a 20-minute drive to the water. We wanted to be on the water at any time. So we moved like we weren't even looking. He found something online, a place to rent. And so we were down here in 2 weeks, packed up our entire life and left. And so creating a life where your goals and the things you value are easily accessible and are like, we were able to get up and move because we both were remote workers and could do that. So I value that freedom. So all that to say is, yeah, sometimes big tragedy happens in our life that, so before tragedy hits your life, take that step now and question what is really important to you and how do you really want to live and what impact do you want to make in the world. And that'll change some things on what you do.
Yeah, it 100% did. It made me do a deeper dive on what was really important, and by default, I
Mm.
then had to, like, without realizing I was doing an energy audit. I was doing an energy audit by looking at what I was spending my
Mm.
time on. Who was I spending my time with?
Yes.
What projects was I making really important? My dad used to always say that there's all in response to there's never enough time in the day. My dad used to always say there's always enough time to choose what's important.
Mm.
And I think to your point, that energy audit, just as like step one in identity and figuring
Mm.
that out, I think is huge. Now, you said there were three steps, and you said the first one was an
Mm.
energy audit, correct?
Yes, I think that is just a great place to start for anyone because it heightens your awareness of what it is you're doing, because burnout is that includes that physical and mental exhaustion. And there's ways to look at how to slow that down. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, so I just another example, when I was trying to get my doctorate done, the dissertation, I was also a full-time professor, and for whatever reason I wanted to continue running my photography business, and I was training for triathlon, waking up at 4 a.m. every day, training for 3 hours. So that's when I hit burnout. And I went to a holistic doctor. He did all this blood work. He's like, you're stage 3 adrenal fatigue. You go any longer, you're going to be in bed for at least 2 months. And I was like, oh, that woke me up. And I started to realize I had to even schedule when to go to the post office, like when to go check my PO box. Like I recognize I can't just do everything all the time whenever I think of it or need it. I needed to really schedule out how I'm spending my time. And
Yeah.
I actually quit teaching. I took a sabbatical for, I can't remember if it was 3 or 6 months, and quit photography, quit triathlon. And I said dissertation completion is my goal. So I just quit everything in life. And I know some people can't afford to do that, but I did because it was important to me. And I risked, financially not to work for a few months and only focus on my dissertation. That was the only way I was able to complete it in that burnout stage. But I started to think like that. When can I go to the post office? It's going to have to be scheduled once every other 2 weeks. Or you really have to dial down into detail what's important to you and what do you need to spend your time on. So all that to say, number 2 is building from the inside out. So once you're more clear and have that clarity of how you're spending your energy, build your business, build yourself from the inside out. Recognize those goals you have, but also your values, your
Mm.
strengths. What are your strengths, and what is it you're good at? And building something from the inside out. Not, and the reason why I've kind of coined this phrase is because a lot of entrepreneurs I see, they build from the outside in. They go to the marketplace and say, what are the problems out there I can solve? No, that is part of what you do, but it's not the first step. That will definitely lead you into a burnout stage if you are just focusing on the outside and recognizing where do you fit in this world as an entrepreneur, what kind of service you can offer. Like that'll get you going way too fast down a bad road. So sticking to building from the inside out is how I help entrepreneurs recognize the importance of reframing those limiting beliefs about who you are, really looking at that identity first being your whole strategy. So the identity first strategy, and then other strategies and systems and everything come into place after you really lock in building from the inside out first. So, kind of an identity first business. And then the third is giving yourself permission to evolve because we grow. I feel like even in this day and age of 2026, we're growing at a rapid pace of recognizing our abilities and things we want to do. Like AI in general has brought so much excitement. Strangely, I've been surprised how excited I am about learning about AI for businesses for the past 2 years. And so just this past month, I've reframed everything, and I'm like, yes, I'm incorporating this because I've built AI tools, I've built AI dashboards and platforms and things to help my clients expedite their work and get things done quicker. That I just believe it's so. So I've given myself permission to evolve and to adopt the AI strategies for entrepreneurs and the consulting that I can kind of help you look at your business and where can we put the AI tools. So it all comes down to identity first and then looking at the strategies and the tools from there and always looking at what you and your goals are. Yeah, so I just get really excited about it. So I've embraced myself and evolving and recognize that that is important to me and I want to uh, adopt the AI idea into how I help people. For instance, I built um, a brand voice guide tool, kind of a brand voice builder.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's called, brand voice builder. I created this so within 12 questions, my client is able to answer these questions, and then it produces an entire brand voice guide PDF for you to upload to your AI of choice to give it that skill of who you are and what you stand for and what your business and how your business helps. So with just 12 questions, this AI tool creates a brand voice guide for you and your business for your for you to use AI quicker and better. So that's one of the tools that I've created that has gotten me excited. So I've
Mm-hmm.
evolved. So the second step, as I mentioned, is to build from the inside out, looking at your values and your strengths, and then giving yourself that permission to evolve. And I think that's where also burnout can happen because we want to stick to who we think that really kind of the old framework of who you are. And then that's when you start to feel off is because you're not allowing yourself to evolve and your business to evolve. um, so does that make sense,
That makes
the
perfect
next
sense.
two set?
I think
Yeah, so
I just wanted to say I love that, and I think that's why there was a lot of synergy, I think, between you and I in how we view things from a burnout perspective, how we view things from an identity perspective, and working kind of inside out, establishing those values, right? That's why we call this the inspired house, because we're looking at how do you solidify and shore up every room within your house, which is your
mm,
life. And so, to your point, I think that is so good because for a lot of us, I think and I appreciate the fact that you're not just focusing on this from a place of identity for the sake of, I don't know, let's say identity just for the sake of my own self, but like really your business and understanding that, like, as an entrepreneur, I know so many entrepreneurs, even within the church that I go to. We have like over 20 different entrepreneurs from different walks of life, of different industries and fields. And they describe their business, they describe the things that they do, whether it's coaching, whether it's manufacturing, whatever, as this real living thing because of how it uniquely impacts them, how it uniquely impacts people, whether it's the people that they serve, or if they have employees and stuff. And it's such a real thing that I think talking about your business and talking about it from the perspective, or I would argue anything that you're trying to do and create, of not, you're just not creating for the sake of creating, but
mm,
what's the identity? What are you putting into it? And I just, again, I love that because I think a lot of times we focus on just me, and my own self, and not breathing identity into what we're building and what we're creating.
mm,
And I think that's what makes it. I would argue, and maybe again with this being your expertise, you might say differently, But I think that's what sets good businesses apart from just
Mhm.
okay businesses, or great businesses apart from just meh, is that identity piece, no?
Yes. Yes, I love that perspective because I see that and believe it. If you are really dialed into your identity, fueling what it is you're creating. So I kind of say you'll start with the who you are, and then the what you want to build, and then the how. And then how is this going to really take place? How are these systems? How can you create systems and or your offers? If you're a coach, are you gonna do a membership or group coaching or one on like really looking at how you're going to function, all based with that identity first strategy. And once you get dialed into that, it's going to transform how you help people because you're going to start to see it's not your own framework. It's not your blueprint that you're going to plaster and give to them. You are going to start to be more customized and be in tune with their identity and how they need to function for their transformation and their success. It's not going to be here's the blueprint, follow my steps. That's why I first started this consulting business 3 years ago with my ideas of energy management, energy reset. And I was like, that worked for me and I can teach some of that, but it really comes down to that person and what works for them. So I've really started to recognize that identity excavation. Like, let's dive into who you are and how you want to build your business and what it is
Yeah.
and how you want to do it. And so once you get it in dialed in for yourself, it's going to transform your own business and what you provide, the service or the product. It's just going to change. I've seen it, and it's just so powerful when an example of something kind of practical. I have some friends who are brand designers. They're um, very, very a big name, and they're in several different parts of the world. They're amazing, and if you look at their site, you would never be able to tell that the brand uh, project that they're doing for these big companies is from them because they have dialed into that identity for their clients so much that what they create looks like for the client, not because they're good designers. That's why I think this is kind of like a real black and white example. So like a beginner designer, you would be able to see their style reflect
Mhm.
through. You're like, oh yeah, that's the style of this person. Now that's an artist too, I also see. But if you're truly doing brand design for companies and for their success, it needs to reflect who they are. So that's one example that comes to my mind of a good service provider or whatever it is you're providing. It's going to reflect more about who that person is you're providing the transformation to, not so much what it is you've got to throw at them. So it's going to
Wow.
be more customized and the beautiful thing, and I'm in the business of people, right? So
Yeah.
I would not want their transformation to look like mine or right. No, it really needs to be their own. And how can I customize? So I've actually revamped. And I think as entrepreneurs, we say we're burning it to the ground and we're rebuilding. Well, I've just revamped how I'm helping people and recognizing. So I've just created the Legacy Lab. So it's a school group where you build with me because I'm constantly in the behind the scenes every day. I'm obsessed with what the work I do and then all the AI tools that are coming out and how we can utilize those. So I was like, I've got to I've always been at arm's length of memberships because I don't want my energy having to be dispersed every day and trying to maintain something. But I was like, Johnna, you sit day and night and I just create and love it. I was like, just open the camera up and let people build with you, building their brand in their own identity. And that's brand new. I still have to put it all together, but the links are still open. So it's the Legacy Lab
Mm.
membership because I want to help people understand it's a process and you need some guidance. So I've got my blueprint and my guidance, but I really want people to learn to build from their own identity and not take blueprints and frameworks from other people and try to fit it to who they are. It really needs to come from you. So I've even personally started to evolve how I help people, and so I'm
Mm.
excited for that new journey.
That is really good, and I really like kind of what I'm hearing about the flexibility of being an expert, being a coach, being a strategist, being a consultant,
Mm-hmm.
doing all of what you do, there isn't that stagnation, or basically, I'm so good at what I do,
Mm,
there is no other iteration of this because this is it. But what I'm hearing from you is
mm.
actually not only do I practice what I preach, but here's what I'm learning and growing and evolving in. And so I'm curious to know when you're coaching, when you're working
Mm.
with somebody, when you're working with an entrepreneur, when you're working with a business professional, whoever, and you're working in this piece of identity. um Actually, I'm gonna pause that because I want to make sure. Did we? I don't think we tackled the third one.
Yes, I mentioned it, but probably a bit blurred. So the second would be to build from the inside out,
Yep.
recognizing your strengths and what you value and making sure those are aligning. And then the third is just simple of giving yourself permission to evolve and
Okay.
recognizing who you were is not going to get you to where you want to go because you got to do some changes there. So giving yourself permission to evolve. And that's, and then so I got um, on my own little tangent of recognizing my love for AI to help the entrepreneur. That was my giving myself permission to evolve, and I've evolved into changing how I'm helping people now with the Legacy
Mhm.
Lab. So yeah, so I went into my own story,
Okay.
but so
You're
yes,
good.
give,
I just wanted to make sure, so that it was audit your energy, build from the inside out, and then give yourself permission to evolve. Because I'm
yes,
gathering then that when you do those three in that order, you're going to have a realization, and it should lead to you evolving and growing. Right?
yes, yes,
Okay.
and
So, oh, go
just the
for it.
the clarity is going to invigorate you, and the clarity of your identity and getting your building from the inside out, like this is going to increase energy because the clarity is so exciting, and that directly impacts the clarity of your personal brand. And I also believe anybody building anything, whether it's a service, whether you're the face of the business or not, it's still your ideas behind the scenes. So you've got to work on that personal brand, and getting that clarity of your identity is the number one foundation of clarity of your personal brand and what it looks like to the outside world. You've got to start from the inside. So yes, I wanted to say that also.
Yo, family, what you got going on right now? What you doing? Nothing? I didn't think so. Look, you should stop over the house. Yes, I am cordially inviting you. But wait, not my house. Not here. God, no, no. I'm talking about our online community, the Inspired House family. Check it out. The Inspired House is a place where you can get coaching, be a part of co-working spaces virtually so you don't got to be grinding alone, sit in on our podcast and ask questions of the amazing guests that we're interviewing, and find community where there are other folk who are focused on bettering themselves, bettering their relationships, bettering their careers, and of course, bettering their money. So, if you are someone who's looking to be tied in with community and you want to rock with us a little bit more, click the link in the description or check out the show notes and come be a part of the Inspired House community. Welcome home. No, I think again this is so good, and like you're really, what's funny is in talking about identity and how to get a solid understanding of who you are, you're also giving essentially a master class in marketing as well. Because how can you market if you don't know who you are? I think, for instance, that's why even though we're on Apple iPhone 17, 18, 19, and there isn't much there isn't much change with the product, right? There still is this clear sense of we know what Apple's about, we know the identity, and when you have that solidified, people want to join in on that. They want to attach themselves to that. And so for me, what I'm curious to know is what would you say is a sign? Because I think we might have some folk who might be listening who they may want to self identify. I don't know. But
Hmm.
what's a key sign, would you say, when you're not being authentic? So, in terms of identity, right? And you're like, oh, we're
Hmm.
talking about identity. But when you know you're just faking the funk, you're trying to be somebody else, you're not really walking in your identity, you're trying to walk in somebody else's identity, trying to be a carbon copy of somebody else. As a coach, what are some red flags that let you know that that's what you're dealing with?
That's a good question because lack of awareness is lack of awareness, right? So I would recommend you get a coach, you get that accountability, you ask your audience, or you ask your coworker or partner or spouse or business partner, like you get that reflection from others because if you're in that lack of awareness, you're going to stay there. I mean, the obvious ones of red flags is your feelings, right? Something feels off, or you're tired,
Mm,
or it's not flowing. There, you may be feeling like you're pushing a truck uphill. And while there are things in life you got to work hard at, and it will feel strenuous, there is a fine line sometimes of figuring out how to stay in flow too, right? So while you can push a truck uphill and learn something new or integrate something, like that's okay, but you don't want to stay in that mode for too long. You've got to really stay within your flow and how you work. So I mean, if you want to just say what is a red flag, it's your feelings, or the lack of clarity, lack of feeling, uh, you know, energized and uh, yeah, so your feelings, physical, mental feelings will be the biggest red flags, but I would encourage you to get a coach and and get some outside perspective because one of the hardest things to do is to if you are the picture framed of your business, you can't see it. You're it. So you've really got to get that reflection from the outside. You've got to get the mirror to see who you really are and what your brand is doing and if you're in alignment. So a lot of it is that internal work of building from the inside out, and some of it may be who you want to be, and some things to aspire to be and to grow into, and work towards. So yeah, that was kind of a big answer to that. But really, it's going to be your feelings; those are the red flags. And then if you're a super confident person and you're like, "Oh, I'm
mm,
on this bandwagon and I don't have any of those feelings," that's a great place to say, okay, take that confidence and go ask somebody. Go get a professional to do some insight because we can always grow. There's always room for growth on this side of
yeah.
heaven. There's always room for growth. So reach out and get the help and get someone to hold that mirror up and to reflect uh, because that's the only way to see.
Hmm. I like that. It's making me think of another question I kind of have for you, and also for anybody that's watching, if you have questions, coaching questions that you would love for Dr. Johnna to answer, please drop them in the chat below. Inspired House family, make sure to drop them below. You always get priority in terms of questions asked. But we've been having some. I don't know if you've been seeing in the bottom, but people's been commenting, so I've been posting them on the
Oh, I
screen. I don't
have
know if you've
not.
seen them.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is my first time doing live on this. So okay, now I'm opening the chat, public chat. So yeah, you feel free to read something that stood out.
Oh yeah. So real quick, just to give you a heads up. So one of the things we have was from a holistic detox coach. They said, "Love this. So proud of you both for inspiring others." When you made the point of building your clients, building your clients from their own identity to look like them, not like you. Whew, so good,
I
right?
will
So
say, yes, I will say that's my mom. I love it. I didn't know my mom was coming today. That's my mom.
hey, but
Yeah,
that's what support looks like, right?
I
So shout
love
out to
it.
mom.
There you go. See, you got to reach out, get the support you guys need. I got mom here cheering for me. I love it. She also is a coach for women, um, spiritually and physical, holistic. Yes, that's awesome.
See, shout out to
Too.
mom. That's what we like to see. Shout out to you, mom. I guess my question for you then is, when we're looking at identity, to kind of dig a little deeper, how do we know when we're forming and building and establishing identity for our business
Mm.
from a place of health, like ideal, like it's a good, like, oh yes, this is a healthy part of identity we're building from, compared to Ooh, okay, I got the perfect question. How do we know the difference when it comes to our business and it comes to ourselves and we're building and we're forming identity? How do we know the difference from when we're building from things we learned from past traumas compared to building trauma? Like we taking our trauma, we're building from that in an unhealthy way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think
Yes.
sometimes I can see that, and I know I've been guilty of that. When we first started
Mm.
Davis Inspired Solutions, before it was the Inspired House, we were the thing I was building was I was trying to build a business from a place that hasn't healed yet, if that makes sense. And it was
Okay.
just crash, burn, and fell compared to what it is
Mm.
now. But I kind of lucked up into it right through schooling and stuff. And I'm just curious if there's a more
Mm.
streamlined way of knowing the difference to avoid that pitfall.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I just encourage you to start messy. Make sure you have an accountability person, whether it's a therapist, a coach, a business partner, a good friend, your spouse. Like, keep yourself in accountability mode, not just run and go forward. Because if you are reacting out of some trauma, you will I just would be concerned for your own safety and the safety of others, so that you don't want to hurt people out of it, or like someone pays you a lot of money and then you run away, and then you're right. So for yourself, safety for yourself, your business, and for others, that is the number one. Even as a therapist, like, it really does come down to that. So I would say definitely safeguard yourself, having that accountability and someone to be with you if you so I encourage you to don't worry about where you're building from. Just start building, because you will not get clarity until you take action
Mm.
in anything. So you have to just take action, and because we are human and we are growing, you've got to start from somewhere and you've got to keep growing. But what I will say, I think your first question is, or the first part that came to my mind is, how will you know you're building from a healthy place? And of course, that's our whole
Mhm.
goal. And as someone as a doctor of psychology, like, that is, of course, my goal is to always be healthy. It will always be in the fruit. What are you
Mm.
producing? It will, your healthy business will be a direct reflection of what you're producing, the fruit of what you're producing. Is there good relationships? Is there are you growing? Is your marriage growing? Are the close personal relationships, are those flourishing? The fruit will be obvious if you're growing your business in a, like, I don't see business and personal life separate as many people do. I see the business as a direct reflection of a healthy personal life. That's the
Mm.
how fruit can be. Like, I mean, you'll see these millionaires that say, "Oh, you could do this, this, this." They eventually will hit a wall or crash if their personal life isn't in a healthy place. It just is kind of evident of history we've seen. So yeah. So there's two answers to that question. I think I encourage you to build from where you're at, because you have everything that you need right now to do it, whether or not your brain tells you have it all together. So don't be afraid of building from trauma, because just get a second, third person to for safeguard, for the bumpers in the bowling lane. You want to have some safety and to get it going the right direction without hurting or harming other people or dropping off. And then getting in a place of recognizing what is the fruit, what is the production, what is being produced from you and your business. Are your clients having success? Are they thriving? Is your personal, your family relationships, are they doing well? Those type of things will help you see if you're building from a healthy place. Because I believe that good fruit around you, even like the fruits of the spirit, like peace, love, patience, like all of those will
Yeah.
start to be, those will be growing very healthily if you are building from a healthy place. So,
Mm.
so yes, I would say that, and a lot of times I think about everything that I do. I want it to be fruitful. Like I want it to be contributing to my growth or the growth of someone else. And in anything I do, like what's the point if it's not
Yeah.
self-seeking, right? You can do some of that sometimes, but in the big picture, you're you, I just see well, you want to be a contributor of life. So if you think of it as as fruit happening or as life happening, are things growing and breathing and being nurtured and it's nutritious around you? Like you want life. Is it giving life or taking life? That's the other question I would ask yourself. Is it giving life or taking life? Life meaning, the heartbeat and the blood flow. Like, is it helping your business, your who you are and the people around you, or is it not? So that's
Wow.
a that was my thoughts on that.
No, I appreciate that because I think one, I think a lot of times people are like, until I get it absolutely perfect, and I got it down perfect, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to do it. And I think what I'm hearing from you is just build it and go. And additionally, build it in community, build
Mm,
it with others that you trust. My mom has a best friend when my mom was pastoring. Her name's Elder Ann, and Elder Ann,
mm,
her mission was always like, as your best friend, as somebody on the leadership of this church, I want you to always know that your name is safe in my mouth. AKA, like anything you got going on, like I'm here to build with you. And I think to your point, when you're talking about building, it's this idea of building in community and so that
mm,
you can get feedback, so that you can get that, like how scripture says, right? How iron sharpens iron, the same is true from one friend that sharpens up another friend. And so what I'm hearing is build scared, um, building community,
mm,
and then just audit the fruit. Which
mm,
I think, first off, you might be the first person I've ever heard somebody talk about the fruits of the spirit and pertaining it to your business. First off, which
mm,
I think is like, yo, I don't think I've heard that
mm,
before. So that is because again, we look at this a lot personally, but if I was having lunch with an entrepreneur yesterday, and he was talking about how, to your point, his business is an extension of him. So
mhm,
if you're bearing good fruit, your business then should ideally be bearing good
mm,
fruit and fruit that lasts. And to your other point, when you said there's millionaires and everybody else, but then down the road, we come to realize everything, right, wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. It sounds like that fruit wasn't there. Almost like when Will Smith, he did an interview a while ago, and he said how being in a place where he could buy anything and have
mm,
anything that he could imagine, he realized and he said he almost wishes that everybody could go through this, realizing that after having anything he could want and going on the craziest journey you could think of, to realize that at the end of that there is nothing.
mm,
He wished that other people could just have that level of realization and clarity. And it sounded like he was realizing that, what fruit am I really bearing? Because the fruit is a
mm,
direct point back to the identity that I have. And so, like, to what you're just to that
mm,
point, I've never pieced them two things together. As I'm sitting here, like, sheesh, like I'm
mm.
about to go back and look at my business and be like, hey, are we fruitful here and are we fruitful there? Like, whew,
Yes.
wow,
Yeah, it's a great indicator, right? Like, is it bringing life, right? Fruit to grow needs life giving things, sun, and that in business it looks like mentorship and and I am very, very independent. I think that's why I've been able to build businesses and because I have ideas and I just run with it. But I've done some of my greatest work in collaboration, even though I'm more of an introvert or ambivert. It's in that room of getting inspired with others and not just that inspiration, but to help you see what you're building to get that mirror effect and that reflection back. So you really need to be with others and personally and professionally, for sure.
I love that. So being, I'm not even gonna touch that. I just with I'm about to go to, if we have any more questions. What I wanted to do is just just in case, because I know we're getting to the end of the time,
Mm-hmm.
I always want to provide opportunity for the people who are listening. If you had any message, or how I like to preface it, if you were given the microphone to the world stage and was given 2 minutes to share any message, what would it be that you'd want to share?
Mm-hmm. Well, after a whole hour of talking, my big message, 2 minutes, I would say, life comes down to that. Life is right now who you are, but what life will be is what is left when you're gone. And what legacy do you want to leave behind? Because I believe we are here for a purpose. You are here for a reason, and it's very, very special, whether you believe it or see it yet or not. So to become what your purpose is and what you're meant for, you want that mark to be left even when you're gone. So live today to leave your legacy tomorrow. And that's why I've created the Legacy Lab because I was like, I want to help people in the midst. It's a progress, it's a process of growing and growth to build a business, and it's continual. And that's what I believe. You'll never get to a point where everything is roses. It's continual process of growth. So keep growing, keep believing in yourself, and keep increasing that awareness by getting in the room with others.
There we go. I didn't realize I was muted. So I love that. How do I monetize my purpose and not feel icky?
How do I monetize my purpose and not feel icky? Well, first, Jared, I would say, why do you feel icky? If you truly believe in your purpose, you have no shame, no regrets in how you want to get that message out to the world. Like once you believe the power of what you're on earth for and to deliver that message to others, you would want to stand on a rooftop and scream it out because you believe it's going to help them. You believe it's what they need. You believe it's an answer for their pain. There's no icky in that at all. The transformation they will experience, it's a blessing for them to be able to pay you. It's an opportunity for their growth to pay you. That's exciting. There's no ick involved in saying, hey, I can help you have this transformation and it will cost you this. And it will level them up to a point where they say, heck yes, I'm worth this. This is worth this. And I'm ready for this transformation. A lot of times people don't transform until they put down $1, thousands of dollars. It could be a direct reflection of the amount of change that they will experience. I see so many people that are like, no, this is too expensive. I'm sad for you because you're not seeing the possibility of what could happen in your life. And once you make that investment in yourself, they don't believe in themselves ready. They're ready to do that yet. So start to reposition that perspective, Jared, and recognize, maybe go back to the drawing board and what is are you really seeing the fullness of your purpose? And is that in relation to what it is you're creating, which is that why, like why is the thing it is you're offering, whatever that is that you're offering, is that in alignment with your why and your purpose? So yeah, I love that question. That's amazing because that is our initial feelings like, oh, I don't want to charge for this. But once you realize the power of the opportunity for that person, for them to pay, that's what will change them. So no ick there.
Wow. That is so true. Oftentimes people don't get serious until they put a dollar amount, or they invest somehow, some way, because that's what makes you have skin in the game. So that's a real good point, and
And
especially.
I will say to Jared, I think he values authenticity, which I encourage. So just stay authentic to yourself, Jared, and that money cycle will start flowing. And there won't be the ick there because you'll stay authentic to who you are and what it is you're offering. I think authenticity wins all the time.
I love that. I love that. Dr. John, I think that was our only main question that we had. But man, wow. Just real quick, how can people connect
Yes.
with you? how can people follow along with what you're doing?
Yes, so my website has all the links, drjohnna.com, and it's spelled out DOCTORJOHNNA.com. You can find all the links there. But I'm on mainly Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and I would love to welcome you into my brand new school membership, which is the Legacy Lab, to help you build your brand from the inside out. So let's get to it. But thank you so much for the opportunity, Desmond, and I'm excited, just to get to know you more, and we'll stay in touch. And I'm happy to jump in again.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna have to run this back because there's like a million questions, but I always want to be respectful of time. So, Dr. Johnna,
Yes.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody who's been watching in the Inspired House, whether on YouTube, LinkedIn, smartphone, dumb phone, whatever phone you got, we appreciate you. We'll see you again real soon. Stay inspired, and family, let's work on being better together. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.